Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's kind of a gloomy day out today, so hopefully everybody is gonna have a great Monday. Today is Monday, November 18th. Believe it or not, it's already November 18th. We had 1 week of veto session last week. I'll give you a little update on that and then let you know what is going on. So first and foremost, I'm going to um start up my laptop is start up, but definitely get to the place where it's to being able to monitor how things are going here on Facebook Live. As you know, I look right here at my computer and it's so dark outside. The glow is actually from my computer, to be quite honest. And if you're wondering why the lighting's a little bit off, and then I got my laptop right here. So certainly good morning to everybody. Monday morning again, November 18th. I just floored, to be quite honest. That's already end of November. But if you want to ask what the cup of the day is today, I brought out my Japan mug. You can see that. Um, why do I have my Japan mug out? Because my son just got tickets to come home for Christmas. So very excited. He's coming home first time in 3 Christmases. And you want to say he's been there 2.5 years. How is it 3 Christmases? So last year, of course, 2023, missed that Christmas, but my daughter and I went to visit him December over the New Year. And then 2022, I went and visited him over the New Year. And then he got there in the summer of 2021. So it's been 3 Christmases that he has missed. And I am very excited that he's going to come home. To be quite honest, I have no idea what to get him for Christmas because um, first of all, he's got transported back to Japan. And secondly, he's always on ship and although he did just move out into town, he just has limited space. So, it's gonna be a little bit difficult, but I think just being home for Christmas is just an amazing thing. So very excited about that. I hope everybody celebrated Veterans Day, November 11th, honoring our veterans. Of course, honor our veterans every day, but partake in veteran support, veteran recognition events as well. I also want to give a little shout out, speaking of veterans, is the VFW Hall in Montgomery has pinball this Friday. So just thought I'd shout that out there. If you like playing pinball, if you're not good at playing pinball, I'm not good at playing pinball, but you can do a pinball tournament this Friday. Registration starts at 6. The tournament starts at 7, right there on River, right across the street from the Montgomery City Hall is a VFW. So come by and play pinball. It should be a lot of fun. But support our veterans every day. It's one of those things, and sometimes I have these conversations with veterans. Veterans just like to do their job and be part of the background, which is fine. But the when you look at things that veterans go through, myself, I was a veteran. I missed a lot of Christmases, a lot of Thanksgiving. For 4 years, active duty. I was overseas for a year, couldn't really talk to my family. Not like now when I can text my son on Signal or WhatsApp and ask him how things are going. But it's a lot. It is a lot. And folks that saw and experienced a lot more than I did, it's still a lot. And that stuff sticks with you all day, all year, every day, years and years, your whole life. And it was funny because one person came up to me and they were like an accountant. And they're like, well, you were in the Marines for what? 4 years. I said, yep, 4 years active duty. He's like, but I've been an accountant for 30 years. So that's what I am. I'm an accountant. That's my whole life. 30 years is my whole life. How can being a Marine, how does that define you when you only did it for 4 years? And that's kind of the difference in military services. When you serve in the military, it defines you for your whole life. It doesn't matter if it's 4 years, if it's 10 years, if it's a lifer, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you're a veteran for life. And so a little bit of educating the public on things such as that, but more so really supporting our veterans. And speaking of supporting our veterans, we are doing we are partnering again with the Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots program. So new unwrapped toys at our Aurora office Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Fridays from 9 a.m. to noon. New unwrapped toys. Now, I know my daughter loves stuffed animals, but they are asking for no stuffed animals. Just bring toys. You can bring toys for itty bitties, like little babies, all the way up to 14, 15 years, you know. So certainly kids need joy and hope this holiday season. People do struggle, and the Marine Corps Toys for Tots program really is a great program to help out, and we're helping that out in our office. So November 10th was the Marine Corps birthday. If you notice, I did go to a Marine Corps ball again this past weekend. So they have a lot of staggered Marine Corps balls throughout the area, starting about mid-October, and then Naperville was November 2nd. Chicago was, of course, November 10th on the birthday. To do it every year on the birthday. It doesn't matter what day of the week it is on the birthday. And then I was just with Recruit Command this past weekend on Saturday, and just seeing all the young service members in uniform, women and men, and just proudly being Marines. It was interesting, and it was interesting talking to some of the recruiters, believe it or not. As a state representative, I took some notes to see if we can look at some of these struggles that that recruiters are finding of motivating individuals that want to join up and are finding barriers to enlistment. Now, back in my generation, there were not many barriers to enlistment, to be quite honest. But now the military has evolved, and the recruiters are finding that there are barriers, and they're not always barriers that are negative about the person wanting to enlist. Some of that is administrative barriers. So something I might work on next session. The 104th session is set to begin in January. So this week, going to Springfield tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Not a lot on the docket. Last week we did have a lot of individuals come to Springfield, mostly to fix Tier 2 pension system. We were going to have a committee meeting this week, but some of the individuals that wanted to participate in the pension committee meeting couldn't make it, so we pushed that off to December. But a little bit of work on the docket, not a whole lot. One thing I do want to give a shout out to is the fact that today, I am told, is Mickey Mouse's birthday. So how many people grew up watching Mickey Mouse? Of course, most of us did, if not all of us did. Mickey Mouse and Disney, believe it or not, Walt Disney served in the Marine Corps. Now, I don't think he had a good time in the Marine Corps. He was discharged, and it is rumored that he put his DD-214 on the wall upside down. That does happen. Some people don't always have a positive experience when they serve in the military. Excuse me. However, there's a lot of similarities with his foundation in the Marine Corps and Disney, if you ever notice it out. A lot of the things are always spit and polished, and really making sure that things are aligned. There's dress code parameters they have to follow, and a lot of things about the military influence on how Disney was established and run by Walt Disney. So even though he had not the best time in the military, it did form and stay with him his whole life. So just a little fun fact for the Disney enthusiast out there. And happy birthday to Mickey Mouse. And good morning to Bonnie and Gang. Good morning to Roger Trend. Good morning to all. And I just have to say, for being in the middle of November, I mean, I understand that climate is changing. It wasn't so bad just all weekend long being able to wear like a sweatshirt and not bringing out the winter coats. I always laugh and say that when I was a kid, that now I'm old enough to say when I was younger, in my younger years, of course I was younger in my younger years. We had the blizzard in the 70s. I mean, I remember walking to school in the blizzard. That was terrible. But yeah, the snow mounds were taller than me. But um, we would bring out, we would literally bring out the bins of winter clothes. It said winter clothes on it. And we would pack up all the rest of our other clothes. And we would not take off our winter coat until like March. So it was pretty solid from the end of September, October. Yeah, all for snow and ice and cold winter weather from October, November, December, January, February, and then March. March, we could bring out like lighter jackets and sometimes, but it was solid. It was a solid season. Now we don't have solid seasons. We kind of have seasons in flux. Once in a while, it looks like it's winter time. This past weekend, it felt a little bit like fall. So it's quite interesting, but I'm not complaining at all. I'm not complaining at all. So things are going good. Audie says, how are you in the new chapter of the USA? Well, uh, we don't have a new chapter in the USA right now. We did have a presidential election. And the new president, which we all know was Donald Trump, will be sworn into office January 20th. So, what we are doing on the state level is we are assessing um, programs and grants and what we have in working with the federal government, programs that are continuing, like road and some of those other projects that we get funding for. If they're going to continue in the next administration or not, we're not quite sure with regards to that. But on the state level, what we are doing is pretty much right now evaluating what's going to happen. And to be quite honest, I think nobody knows what's going to happen. So right now we're just evaluating like we always evaluate when there's a changeover in administration in the federal government, is evaluating our state and where we stand with regards to a lot of the interactions that we have with the federal government. For example, if after January 20th, of course, this takes congressional. Now, I want to I'll back up a little bit. A lot of things on the federal level act and work just like on the state level. So it has to go through Congress and the president signs laws. So, for example, there is a proposal of disbanding the Department of Education. That's a proposal out there. May or may not happen. To completely eliminate the Department of Education has to be an act of Congress. Now, individuals act differently, even if they are of the same party. So there have been bills that on the state level in the Democratic Party, people have voted yes and no on different bills, even though they're the same party. So would the Department of Education be eliminated? We don't know. However, on the state level, we're looking at all the title money and the funding and the support for individuals with disabilities that come from and the direction that comes from the Department of Education. So if nothing happens to the Department of Education, all good. Things continue to run as they are. Not a problem. If things change in the Department of Education, we've kind of done our research. We're a little bit prepared for changes all the way from the extreme, complete elimination of the Department of Education, to minor changes. So it happens every 4 years. The leadership of the nation changes. And we adjust every 4 years. Now, that being said, what you see is sometimes in the middle of that 4 years, then things change in the Congress, and if things change in the Congress, we'll adjust as usual. So that's kind of where the state sits when you look at the national scheme of things. A lot of in fact, I think all of our congressional representatives from Illinois were retained and will be back in they're in their official capacity right now, and then they will be sworn in again January 20th. So the representation from Illinois is the same, and we will work with our congressional leaders in the House and the Senate and make sure that Illinois residents are properly represented and taken care of. As all the residents in the state of Illinois, feel free to contact your congressional representative on the House and Senate. The Senate is Tammy Duckworth, and the Senate is Senator Dick Durbin. On the House, it depends on where you live. You can go to or you can go to elections.il.gov, and you can click on a Find My Representative and then put in your address. They'll tell you who all your representatives are. So that's where we are. Audie had that question in the new chapter. We're just, as in any new chapter, we're waiting and seeing and working to see how things parlay on the federal level. That's all we can do. But thanks for asking that question. Moving right along, I have another museums in the park. So each representative is allowed, because state money goes to the museums. So because we fund the museums can have we can administer free tickets to the museums, zoos, aquariums. Includes Brookfield Zoo's Holiday Zoo Light Festival, which opens on Friday the 22nd and runs through December 31st. A great activity for the whole family. So you can request your tickets on our website, ildistrict84.com, IL district spelled out, 84.com. And but we need your request 2 to 4 weeks in advance. So if you have a last minute splurge to go, we might not be able to help you out, but 2 to 4 weeks in advance. So if you think you're going to be coming, definitely let us know. So it's a very, please get out, unplug, enjoy the fall weather that we are having, and certainly enjoy our museums and our parks and our zoos here. So so if you sign up for our email list, eBlast, we send out eBlast every week to keep you informed of what's going on to the best of our ability. My staff helps with that. I'm not going to say it's all me. Definitely Michelle and Molly and Nick in the office help out. We're a team. But we do a little poll. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, we do a poll, just information about bills and stuff to just hear what you have to say. That's what we're here for. And so there was a bill, House Bill 5842. It was from Representative Dave Vella in Rockford. And it looks at funded advocacy and independent representation. So it looks at establishing an independent statewide office to support under-resourced public defenders, particularly in rural areas. Now, in our area, our public defenders, our state's attorney's offices are pretty well funded. There's always a struggle, but they're decent. But overall, Illinois is short about 900 public defense attorneys, and they're short investigators and staff. Now, why do we look at this? Because our system, our constitutional right is the right to be presumed innocent and the right to a public attorney, to a public defender, if you cannot afford it. So that is a constitutional right. The Supreme Court has established it. But what has happened is that 60% of Illinois counties have no office of public defense, and they hire private attorneys sometimes on a part-time basis. And we are short about 900 public defense attorneys. So regardless how you feel about this, the Supreme Court has established a constitutional right of criminal defendants to have an attorney appointed to them, even if they cannot afford it. And it's our right to look at trying to do maybe even a statewide office to support under-resourced public defenders. So our poll results 58.3% in favor, 41.7% opposed. So I think this is really interesting information, that that I can go back as a lawmaker and take back and talk to Dave Villa, and maybe we can look at some of the nuances of his bill. Now the question is, what happens to these bills? Well, at the end of the year, they all are null and void. They're not relative anymore. Bills then have to be resubmitted in the new General Assembly. So certainly then in January, we have to look at all the bills that we filed this year and request them to be redrafted, refiled in the new General Assembly starting after Inauguration Day in January, most likely the second week of January, but we don't have that date worked out yet. So going back to what I said at the beginning, last week was a rally about roughly, I think, about 3,000 union members came in to fix Tier 2. It was a huge rally, and this is what democracy is about. Individuals coming to Springfield, voicing their views and having great conversations with lawmakers. So talked to a lot of individuals, talked to some folks from Oswego in our area. So thanks for coming to Springfield. There's a bill that was filed, House Bill 5909 in the House, Senate Bill 3988 in the Senate. They are both the same bill, and they were the product of the We Are One coalition, which is a coalition of, I want to say maybe 10 to 12 different entities that work with the state of Illinois or the county level that fall under Tier 2. So certainly those are bills. So these are another proposal. Just because a bill is filed, people are like, oh, the bill's filed, it's got to pass. Not necessarily in big issues like this. Another bill is filed. It's a good idea. We're going to look at it. We're going to consider it. The committee's going to meet the second week of December to talk about this bill and to see how we can fix our Tier 2 system to recruit and retain individuals that we need for the function of our state, and finding it in a balanced, fiscally responsible way. So that is that's our goal. That's what we're going to do. We're working on that really well. So, as I said, last week we met on Tuesday and Wednesday. They canceled Thursday. This week we're going to meet Tuesday through Thursday. Nothing really on the agenda. There might be some sunsets, which means the bill's going to expire that we need to extend for some laws, but nothing really big on the horizon. We're looking at what is called lame duck, and that is when we meet before the 101st General Assembly gets sworn in. And I see that the date is January 8th. So I have that in my notes. I did not put it in my calendar, so I have to put that in my calendar. So most likely lame duck is just before that, sometime between like January 2nd to the 7th. We don't know what dates. So that is what we're looking at in lame duck to be considered. So there are some committees that are scheduled to meet this week. You can listen to them on ilga.gov, ilga.gov. Everything to do with the state of Illinois has a .gov email address domain at the end, .gov. So the Senate Judiciary is in November 19th at 2:30 to consider the KIND Act. Senate Executive Appointments, 11:20 at 9 a.m. to consider various gubernatorial nominees for executive positions. The House Elementary and Secondary Education, Admin, Licensing, and Charter Schools, 11:20 at 10 a.m. for subject matter hearing on student athlete transfer policies. And then the Senate Executive is 11:20 at 1 p.m. We did have, like I said, Personnel Pension Committee on 11:20, but we canceled that and we'll reschedule that for December 11th. Now, what happens in each General Assembly is individuals have to be nominated and voted on for leadership. So what is leadership? Leadership is the president of the Senate the minority leader in the Senate, the Speaker of the House, the minority leader of the House. So the minority leader is the leader of the minority party. Just in case you didn't quite connect that, in Illinois, the minority party is the Republican Party. So Senate Democrats nominated President Don Harmon to serve another term. Senate Republicans voted to retain Minority Leader John Curran. House Republicans voted to retain Minority Leader Tony McCombie. And then this week we will most likely meet and vote to nominate and then to retain Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch to serve a third term. The actual voting happens on Inauguration Day. This is the nomination if there's anybody else to nominate, and it's a little bit perfunctory. And then we have an interesting task force. I know I talk a lot about task forces. House Generative AI and Natural Language Processing Task Force. So they met last week for the last task force meeting and heard from the ACLU and the Illinois Environmental Council. The task force is scheduled to release a report by December 31st, 2024. So I just a little bit of information in case you're interested. So the Attorney General announced that he is launching a wrongful conviction unit. So Attorney Kwame Raoul announced the formation of a new conviction integrity unit. So where do I get this information from? I get a lot of emails with a lot of press releases. I put them all together to kind of share them with you. So the goal is to help counties fill a gap in reviewing conviction integrity. This review is for individuals convicted of felonies that involve threat or physical force where there is potentially new evidence to show they might not have committed the crime. So the new Conviction Integrity Unit will focus on claims for counties that don't have units to ensure that there's a statewide coverage for potentially wrongful convictions. Now, these are wrongful convictions of individuals whose, through DNA or some other evidence, shows they did not commit the crime. They can apply, show where there's new evidence, and if the claim is found credible, the office will work with the local state's attorney to both seek relief for the individual wrongfully convicted and find the real offender. So the unit began accepting applications this past summer. And again, this is a partnership. We fund it by the Attorney General's office, but we also got a $1.5 million grant from the U.S. Justice Department. So, and then along with that, Attorney General Raoul also announced that his office reached an agreement with DoorDash that includes relief for drivers that made deliveries between July 17th and September 19th. At that time, DoorDash reduced driver pay based on tips, but ended the practice in 2019. So the settlement requires DoorDash to maintain a pay model that does not factor tips in with the driver pay and make clear disclosures that both workers and customers regarding pay. So if you've noticed, like on Lyft and Uber, it says your tip will go directly to the driver. So you can't factor in tips with your pay. DoorDash, Uber, all those, they have to pay the right way. So congratulations to Attorney General Raoul for his staunch work at ensuring that individuals in the state of Illinois are well taken care of. If you know anybody going to the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, the chancellor is departing, Robert Jones. He'll be leaving June 2025 after 9 years at the position. He is the longest tenured chancellor of the university since the first chancellor over 57 years ago. So he's done a great job. Enrollment has grown, and we wish him well. He is expected to remain with the system to help drive the presence in Chicago, but he is going to step down from that official role. Illinois' 16th casino opens. If you didn't notice, we have another casino. But this is Wild Creek Hospitality. It's part of the Porch Band of Creek Indians, and they're in East Hazelcrest. So it's on tribal land, so they are able to do it. It is expected to open. Oh well, it didn't open Monday, November 11th. It has slot machines, table games, poker room, sports bar, expected to become a licensed sports book and have several dining facilities. They want to have a 16-story hotel on the upper floors, and that's expected to open in early 2025. So we allowed gaming to expand in 2019, and they will pay their part for the license as well as the proper taxes and fees on the revenue. And then I'm kind of looking forward to that. That sounds like a really great economic development driver. And then Discovery Partners Institute launches a cannabis research institute. Of course, we should research it. University of Illinois President Tom Killian and others joined as researchers with the Discovery Partners Institute. Now, we launched Discovery Partners Institute a while ago, and this is a joint effort supported by the state of Chicago, in addition to the University of Illinois system. So definitely, we're looking to see what their research prevails, research, education, and the impacts of cannabis use on Illinois individuals and their community. Now, here is the best, and I know this will affect a lot of great people, and we were working with the governor on this. I personally, way back in the day, 20 years ago, was friends with an individual, a really great individual for the community that had to sell her house and move in with her daughter because of medical debt. Medical debt not covered by insurance. And it just really throws all sorts of families for a loop. So we had a pilot program, and now we are working more towards erasing roughly $1 billion in medical debt across Illinois. This is a huge, successful program helping you out from the state of Illinois. So we allocated $72 million in the medical relief debt fund. And this provided medical debt relief for over 52,000 Illinois residents across the whole state. This is part of a job to just help people out with everyday life. So those individuals that have been identified, so nobody has an input on the identification of these individuals in terms of aside from the algorithm. So the algorithm looks at individuals' income along with the amount of debt, and then they will be selected. So if you get a letter in the mail, the algorithm identified you as benefiting from the medical debt relief. You'll receive letters notifying you that your debts have been eliminated. Now, I realize that some people are looking at that, but the average amount of debt abolished per person is $1,349. It might not seem a lot to me and you, but it is a lot to some people. And the maximum debt abolished for one individual was $242,136. So it goes from a small amount to a large amount to help people out. Medical debt of $242,000. Serious. It impacts families. So it was a pilot program. The Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services engaged with Undo Medical Debt as a partner. It's a national nonprofit. They work with government entities across the country on these debt forgiveness programs. Cook County has one as well. So then they look at this relief for qualified medical debt portfolios. This is significant. So what we are looking at is target debt held by Illinois residents with a household income at or below 400% of the federal poverty level, and those whose medical debt is at or exceeds 5% of their household income. So this is very important. So these are the two parameters. You don't need to apply. Again, it is completely driven by an algorithm. So you don't need to apply. Believe it or not, because of you file taxes with the state of Illinois. We know what your income is, and the nonprofit knows what the medical debt is. So we put them together. So pretty much in every county. Now, here's the thing. The largest number of debts relieved were in Will County, and I represent Will County. 20,832 individuals will receive debt relief in Will County. So the debt is purchased from debt collection agencies, And so we're helping that out. We are also working with the Illinois Health and Hospital Association on a medical debt relief pilot program, so that we can support the hospitals, as well as making sure that everybody's taken care of. So the program, medical debt is a national crisis, national crisis. And so we're working with the hospital association and the doctors, so that instead of them going to a collection agency, that we're going to have partnerships with individuals that are struggling to pay their medical debt, and working again with the Undo Medical Debt nonprofit, working to have a better streamlined situation. So certainly we want to work with people. So it's a great, I'd say it's a great program overall. It's amazing. And again, you don't need to apply. It's an algorithm. You might get it, you might not. But Will County, 20,000 individuals are going to receive debt relief. 5th and 6th grade students and classrooms invited to compete in Illinois EPA poster, poetry, and prose contests. So the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency is inviting 5th and 6th grade writers and artists from around Illinois to participate in this year's poster, poetry, and prose contest. The 2025 theme, how can you slash your trash? Think creatively about how to reduce the amount of waste that you produce. Find fewer single-use products. Diverting food waste, repairing broken items instead of replacing or buying new ones, or recycling responsibly. We have YouTube. You guys can fix a lot of things. So, I mean, why does it have to go in the trash? And load up on and back in the day, back in the day, my grandparents, since they lived through the Depression, they wouldn't throw out anything. They would fix everything. They were very, 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 very frugal because they lived through the Depression, which was horrible because my grandmother could not wear her own shoes. She actually wore her sister's shoes, and her feet were deformed because her sister had smaller feet than she did. So they were very frugal. Let's try to bring that back and look at how we can slash your trash. Educators are encouraged to introduce the Illinois EPA curricular units on waste management and food waste. So you can go to the Illinois EPA website. You can submit. Teachers may display the submissions for voting and submit final entries to the Illinois EPA for further judging. Teachers may submit up to 8 individual entries per school to the Illinois EPA by February 3rd, 2025. If your works are chosen for the exhibit, they'll receive a certificate and a ribbon. The top 12 entries will be given special recognition and displayed on the Illinois EPA website. So look at that out. And then we are looking at some funding for rural counties. The Administrative Office of the Illinois Courts announced that Putnam Marshall Stark County Probation District was awarded a $5,000 grant for the Foundation for Rural Services Community Service Grant. So this is a group that's working with the Rural Broadband Association to try to bring more broadband to our rural areas. And then in the federal level, a federal judge ruled against Illinois on the Illinois assault weapon ban. On November 8th, a federal judge in East St. Louis struck down Illinois' assault weapons ban. They reasoned that the ban violated the Second Amendment on the grounds that deprives citizens of weapons that are commonly used at home. The federal judge, now this is again on the federal level. Certainly there's going to be appeal to the appellate court and the Supreme Court is where it was, but it was immediately appealed by the Attorney General. So that continues. But that does happen to laws. You make laws. That's our checks and balance. Laws, courts, executive branch. So that's part of our checks and balance. That's just how government works. So that's certainly one of the things. Now, one of the wonderful things that I truly appreciate, about State Treasurer Mike Frerichs is his dedication to return items to families, and more importantly, to return items such as Purple Heart medals to families. Now, if you have a safe deposit box, I have a safe deposit box. It's in a bank. It puts your stuff that if a fire happened, you would hate to lose in a safe deposit box. That's what I do. Once in a while, these safe deposit box, the individual dies and the family doesn't know it's there. And so then the accounts are closed that funds it, and then the banks turn it over to the state. So, Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frerichs returned a Purple Heart to the family of a World War II Marine. So the family of a late Marine from Decatur, Private First Class Delbert Tuttle, was reunited with his Purple Heart medal. So Marine Tuttle earned the honor along with the Silver Star for wounds he suffered during the Battle of Saipan in the Pacific Theater on June 15, 1944. Tuttle was near the front lines, delivering ammunition and directing the fire of tanks. He was wounded in the shoulder, but refused in order to leave the line. A second wound that day forced him to the rear. Marine Tuttle also had shrapnel in both legs. He returned stateside with the rank of corporal. Mr. Tuttle lived in Decatur and worked as a machinist for the A.W. Cash Company. He passed away in 1972 at the young age of 52. So last month, Illinois State Treasurer Michael Frerichs returned Marine Corps veteran Tuttle's Purple Heart to his daughter, Carolyn Peckham. And she said, "I've been waiting a long time for this. It was an honor to me knowing that Dad not only served his country, but also defended it well." So this medal is one of 12 that Treasurer Frerichs' office has been able to return. They, again, were found inside abandoned safe deposit boxes. So we appreciate Treasurer Frerichs. He understands that these medals personify honor, sacrifice, and duty. And he's doing to try to reunite families with these Purple Hearts. So if you get communication from the Treasurer's office and you're a little skeptical, you can always call my office and we can verify it for you. Don't get me wrong. But Treasurer Frerichs is trying to give people the money they deserve that's sitting with the state of Illinois and be able to give them items from their loved ones that might have been left in safe deposit boxes. Now, again, you get a call from the treasurer's office, or if you get a letter from the treasurer's office and you're kind of skeptical, you can always call our office and we can verify that it's legitimate. A Marine Corps veteran Tuttle was born in Tuscaloosa, Illinois, October 6, 1919. When he returned from service, he briefly lived in Chicago's South Austin neighborhood, where he met his future wife, Lorraine Fellows. They married December 31st, 1950, and moved to Decatur, where, again, he worked as a machinist. And he died while battling lung cancer. And he is buried at Camp Butler National Cemetery in Springfield. So certainly that's a lot of what we have on. We are at 9:54. Quickly, I'll leave you with this. Well, a couple things. First, Illinois had 3 years of corporate relocation, expansive growth. I guess I want to leave it. Let's talk about something very, very positive. We had 15% more corporate relocations and expansion projects in fiscal year 24. So that's the third year in a row of increased relocations and expansions. We brought in an estimated 13,000 new jobs. So just to let you know, people that are saying Illinois is not doing anything right, we are doing a lot of things right. Certainly helping out and getting businesses going in the right direction. Now, talking about businesses, I'll leave you with this. McDonald's. Those that go to McDonald's, probably all have at one point in time in our life gone to a McDonald's. Why do soft drinks taste better at McDonald's? So McDonald's was ranked as one of the top soft drinks, as best pretty much in the planet. I don't know how this poll was, but they claim if you're one of the millions of people who rank McDonald's soft drinks the best on the planet, and the best in the world, you may be interested to know why it tastes so much better. What is the science behind it? Now, according to an article I read, McDonald's filters its water, which is good. They filter their water, but they pay close attention to the temperature. And believe it or not, the water, along with the Coca-Cola syrups, are pre-chilled before they even enter the fountain dispenser. So they're both pre-chilled. So that would make McDonald's drinks that much colder. Plus, McDonald's uses straws that are bigger than your average straw. Now, we just talked about reducing trash and straws are single use. So that aside, they use bigger straws so that your taste buds get an extra rush from the cold drink right away. So if you don't want soda, you can also drink water, of course, and all the like. But that is the reason why McDonald's has the best soda in the planet. And one of the things that McDonald's has is they are headquartered in Illinois. So with that, have a great Monday. Enjoy the day. Maybe I'll see you at pinball on Friday at the VFW. Maybe not. But you're welcome to go to it. And certainly we are going to have session this week, and I'll give you an update next week on Monday on what we did in session. But with that, stay safe, enjoy the days that you can, and when the weather's not so bad out, and I always enjoy the outside. It makes you a little bit better. And then be safe. COVID, respiratory sicknesses are up. Please try to be safe and cognizant of when you're not feeling well, stay home. But I will talk to you next week. Take care, everybody, and have a great Monday.